It is incredibly hard for me to believe this, but here comes the 2025 edition of the WestEdge Design Fair. This will be the 10th edition of the show, and I am just incredibly excited to share the slate of talks taking place this year in the WestEdge Theater Presented by Pacific Sales. But I'm not going to do it here because our time is limited, and I couldn't possibly go through all 10 programs. You would be bored stiff just hearing me read it, but I have an idea. I am going to link all of the programs and the times in the show notes so you can make your plans accordingly. Go check it out. But not yet, because today on the show, you're going to hear from Megan Reilly, co-founder of WestEdge, and you're going to hear from my dear friend Kim Gordon of Kim Gordon Designs. Kim is joined by Julia Demarco, who together they designed the WestEdge Theater Presented by Pacific Sales. We talk about the inspiration that went into the theater design, the how, and the why. You're going to absolutely love this. Before that, you're going to hear from Megan Reilly, and we're going to revisit. You know, Megan and I have known each other for a very long time, and I think the last time you heard from Megan here on the show, gosh, it's been years, her and her co-founder, Troy. So you're going to hear from Megan again. There's so much new and so much you're going to want to hear about, and more reasons to attend the show. Before we get into that, though, I have something really special to share with you. Something special with a WestEdge connection. So my friend and longtime friend of the show, Anthony Laney of Laney LA, sent me a copy of the new monograph, Poetics of Home, Essays and Spaces by Laney LA. And so I'm going to share it with you through a special installment of Book Luck. Yay! I don't know why I did that. I was moved. Listen, Laney's work, let me back up. Quote, Laney LA's work embodies a distinctly Southern California spirit, the blur between indoors and out, the layering of experiences, the quiet merger of minimalism and sensuality, end quote. That was Sam Lubell. This is from the foreword of Laney LA's book, Poetics of Home, and the book is available through Oscar Riera Ojeda Publishers. It's incredible. And before I tell you about the book, let me tell you about my friend Anthony Laney. Laney and I first bonded on the show over a project of his in Manhattan Beach, home for me. This project had a disappearing pool, which was very cool, but it was the cool factor. It wasn't the cool factor of a pool that disappeared below a functional outdoor space. It was the why behind its installment. The South Bay in Los Angeles is known for very expensive homes on very small lots. The underground pool is very cool, but more than that, it represents something incredibly special about Anthony and his namesake firm. This was a solution to a challenge. The client wanted this space and the home designed for the site, but they also wanted a yard for the family to enjoy the very unique exterior environment. Mark Twain said it best, buy land. They're not making any more. It takes a very special mind to craft something that literally makes more functional space on the same site. If you want to understand the thought process and the ethos of this unique firm, Poetics of Home shows you what's behind the walls and under the deck. But Laney LA has another challenge. This was their debut monograph. And just like that of a smash hit record, it will be very difficult to match or exceed, which isn't even fair to mention it. So maybe we just focus on this one. Yeah? Quote, craft is where intention becomes tangible, end quote. That's Anthony. My favorite quote from the book, because it's so simple and true. 6 words that succinctly define the motive. If you are anything like me with regard to design and architecture, the story behind the design is equally important to form and function, because the industry still speaks out about architecture in terms of form and function. Yeah, it's important. When you minimize something to simply how it looks and why and what it does, you can't fully explore the intangibles. The way a space makes you feel. If you've never been to LA's South Bay, you don't know what Manhattan Beach smells like in August. Sunscreen, salt air, the scent of grilled meats and citrus, or what it sounds like during the Charlie Cycli 6-man beach volleyball tournament, because it's got a sound all its own, or what it feels like in December during the fireworks show off the pier when 125,000 people descend on this small beach town to see an incredible fireworks display off a pier over the ocean. A special home in this place needs to be built to accommodate all the senses. And it takes a very special architecture firm to understand how a client wants to live and then deliver a space for all the feels, sights, sounds, smells, and yet a shelter from the very same when desired. No small feat. None at all. And it's interesting because this is the superpower behind Lady LA. And Poetics of Home defines it, showcases it, explains it in text and imagery. If you consider yourself a true devotee of architecture, you need this masterpiece in your library. It has to be in your collection, if for no other reason than to remind you of the true importance behind exceptional architecture. And by the way, I'll just point out, you don't have to live in Manhattan Beach, Southern California, or the West Coast, or any coast for that matter, to understand and appreciate all of the incredible architecture and how it's done. Because you know what? These very same ideas, you could put it in Dallas, Texas, or Kansas City, Missouri, and they would still apply. It's also the fact that it's not exceptional architecture. It's not about how big it is, how expensive it was to construct, what celebrity lives there, what trade magazine put it on the cover, but instead how it was created for an individual, a couple, a family, ideated in a completely holistic manner. The joy in this book is endless, not physically, that ends on page 300 with a group photo, but the ideas endure far beyond that. Anthony, congratulations. Well done. If you've listened to the show for any amount of time, you've heard me say this, that the most important word in the design industry is service. Product is important, price is important, selection is important, but stellar service is the premier idea that can make all the difference in the success of a project, any project. How design professionals like you demand great service and your favorite brands in one place with expert, knowledgeable, and non-commission sales professionals. It's really important. It means that their only incentive is your satisfaction. Pacific Sales, Kitchen and Home, a Best Buy company, has just that with over 60 years of experience in Southern California. Pacific Sales is your destination for exploration, advice, and inspiration. Now, you have the Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home team to help you and offer their Pro Rewards program, which is a trade program unlike any you have experienced before. Earn 3% in Best Buy gift cards, e-gift cards, or 2.5% in rewards checks for every qualified and delivered sale. In addition to special trade pricing, exclusive offers, access to exclusive special events, and so much more than I could possibly tell you about here. And the cherry on top is access to exclusive builder trade incentives from top brands and the stellar service, again, from a company that has been serving the industry for over 60 years. Terms and conditions apply to the Pro Rewards program and builder trade incentives. So visit a Pacific sales expert at a showroom today for full details and to learn how you can unlock additional savings and benefits. Don't miss out on the opportunity to work with the best of the best. Visit Pacific Sales Kitchen and Home today and elevate your projects to new heights. 10 years.
My gosh. Actually, more than that if you count the COVID gap.
Yeah, yeah, 10 editions.
Yeah,
And it's funny because you and I started working together. I was trying to figure it out. Sometimes the pandemic created date fog.
absolutely.
It really did. And I was trying to remember. I think we were out there when was the first one?
We launched in 2013, October of 2013.
So same year as Convo by Design.
Yeah, actually,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. Because we launched in January of 2013.
Okay.
And I'm
Well,
trying to,
technically we did too.
okay,
We announced, we put our website up and all those good things, but our first edition was in October.
that is so awesome. Okay. So
Yeah.
the first year that I came out to West Edge, I think was 2015. And that was with a small, it was a 10 by 10 booth next to the barrels. I remember next to the barrels in the front door.
Yeah. Right by the hangar doors.
Exactly. So much fun. Then 2016, we did the lounge that was designed by Ryan White and presented by Warner Brothers. It was incredible.
The luxury glamping. Glamping before glamping was a
Oh
word, right?
yeah. Yes. Yes. And then 2017, we started working on the theater. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right. And I was looking back. I first met you and Troy. Troy number one. Troy is like the drummer for Spinal Tap.
I know. Can you believe it? Troy 1 and Troy 2 of all the
Troy one and
names.
Troy two. But the first Troy, you and I met at the Pacific Design Center to talk about this idea of West Edge. And I was going back and I was listening to that. It's really interesting, this idea of an anti-trade show. And that's really what it's become.
Yeah, yeah. We always say that. And that was something that we felt very strongly about. We all go to the industry events and, you walk into a convention center and the air is dry and you don't know if it's 9 a.m. or 9 p.m. because you have no natural light and it's a big white box, very corporate feel. And we really wanted to be the anti-trade show, more of a lifestyle, fun, California pool vibe. And I think that's what people really appreciate about the show, among other things.
What is the ethos? What do you think is the differentiator? And it really is different. And part of it is because of where you're located, at Barker Hangar in Santa Monica. I don't know that it's because of that, but that is part of the lore that led up to what West Edge is. What are the differentiators that make up the ethos?
Well, I think uh, Southern California is so unique. There are so many creatives, and we really try to be very inclusive. You definitely get, the West Hollywood design crowd, the downtown architecture community. We pull from all parts of the country, and we're bringing in more international brands. So, I've had people say to me, "Gosh, this is great. I see people at West Edge every year that I haven't seen all year. I don't see them at all of the PDC events or the other kind of usual events that we're all very familiar with. So I think that's part of it, really pulling a diverse community from all over who is interested and engaged in design. We're also, Troy Hansen and I started this coming from the corporate world and having produced events, but we are not corporate people, so we have that entrepreneurial spirit. A lot of other design shows and trade shows are produced by larger corporations. And I think part of part of what makes us unique is that we're the faces. Our team is small but mighty. And so we can really relate to those small shop manufacturers and designers and makers who are, small businesses like we are. So I think it's a little bit of that as well, and really wanting to offer a platform for design that's fun. We're a party, you've been to our opening night party. People rave about that event. It's more than just, a traditional cocktail reception with some white wine. It is a party, and people really come out and show up. And we try to create as much engagement as possible. We leave those hangar doors open. It's an indoor-outdoor vibe. We're one of the only events that I'm familiar with when you talk about trade shows where you can really showcase outdoor furnishings and outdoor design in a true outdoor setting. And it really is an extension of the main show.
What's fascinating too is there's a different vibe. There's definitely a different feel. It is casual. It is more laid back. And you have it in kind of these three different phases. You've got the party, and it's funny because the exhibitors are there. There are things going on, but it really is a party. It's like it's funny. You and I were talking about this before. I used to work for Playboy, and Hef used to do this thing back in the 50s, 60s, Playboy After Dark, which was basically, him at his, in the penthouse, and you'd be walking around, and there's Sammy Davis Jr. Oh, let's go talk to Sammy. And then there's Lenny Bruce. Oh, hey, Lenny, let's. That's kind of the vibe that you have at West Edge during the opening night party. It is brand agnostic, and everyone is just there to have fun. That's like phase one. Phase two is typically trade day, which is on Friday, where everything is, geared towards specifiers, geared towards the industry. And then Saturday is geared towards everyone. It's more consumer. Was that intentional?
It was. So we came from the Architectural Digest design show in New York, which we had been producing for years. And if anyone remembers that event, which I hope they do, that was a hybrid audience. So we catered to design trade professionals first and foremost, but we also opened to homeowners and design enthusiasts in that consumer segment. So we wanted to keep that. I think the consumer, the homeowner, is becoming more and more educated about design. So for us, it's important to bring them into the mix. And um, many of them, most of our consumer audience is working with a designer or an architect. So we often encourage designers to bring their clients to the show on Saturday. And we're getting a lot of trade on Saturday too. You know how busy people are. A lot of times people just cannot get away from their office. So what we've loved to see is architects bringing their kids, come with your family. I don't know if you remember that one year when Roche Bobois had their furniture and kids were jumping, like jumping monkeys on the bed, jumping from, one section of the sectional to the other. And that's what we love to see. So it was intentional to try to craft different vibes. Thursday night's opening night party. Friday is more business minded with the programming on the stage that you've helped co-curate. And then Saturday is kind of a fun, festive day where, kids are invited. You see dogs. We're a dog friendly venue. So that's always kind of fun to see people can bring their dogs and their friends and family and that sort of thing.
It's the funniest thing, Megan, too. Kids it's not that kids were there jumping on the sofa. It's that it was Roche Bobois was there with the Mahjong sofa, which is like a
Yeah.
$40,000 sofa. And the kids are bouncing from one side to the
Yeah.
other. They were thrilled. They're like, yeah, that's what it's for.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah.
you would never see that elsewhere. And I think that's one of the really unique things about it. The other thing too is because of the philosophy behind it and the ethos of it and having these conversations are it's more authentic and it's more real, which also leads us, and I think that's why the brands who participate have such a great experience. And that's part of it is the experience of the exhibitors that are showing. It's just different.
Yeah. I hope so. We get that feedback, and you know, we are definitely an event where connection meets commerce. That's our tagline, and that's what we want to see happen. As fun as it is, we like to keep the engagement and the fun factor, but at the end of the day, we're there to introduce our exhibitors and our brands to new customers and new clients. And so, it's a little bit less intimidating because of the atmosphere that we've created. So we really do encourage that kind of engagement where, the brands are happy, they are meeting new people, but it's also kind of a low pressure situation, even though, of course, the goal is to do business, down the road or within weeks or months.
I think it's interesting too. You talk about doing business there. One of the things that I have seen every single year, and it's really fascinating to me, the conversations that we have there. It's not that it's California in particular, Southern California specifically. It's not that. But for some reason, there is a more authentic level of comfort that people have. Like, every year we're talking about the issues of the day. This year, and it's funny, you go back to the programming, but it's not just the programming. The programming that we have there in the theater reflects on the actual authentic conversations that are happening in and around the community. Yeah, we're talking about the fires. I mean, we're talking about the fires in a different way than I think um, other parts of the country have that same conversation. We're talking about tariffs in a different way. Everyone's talking about tariffs and what that means. But I think when people consider, you can be having the same conversation at any place in the US about this topic. That's not true. There's a different point of view from everything. So that's why, when we talk about the programming every year and the conversations we're having. This year, the lineup that we have is really incredible. It's fun to
Yeah.
put together. But how do you, when you go into a show every year, when you go into it, how do you envision the programming? What is it? What are the conversations that you want to have?
That's a great question, Josh. And we really look to our community to help us drive that. As you know, we have 26 media partners, and so often those media partners are involved in moderating some of the conversations. And so we want to know what's top of mind for them, what's coming out in their fall issues. As you mentioned, January and the wildfires was so terrible for so many people. We have friends, we have designers who lost their homes, and everybody has been talking about rebuilding LA. But rebuilding in an exemplary way. We've always said that Los Angeles really sets the trends for so much fashion, entertainment. A lot of the big auto design companies and the auto design studios were based out here. So we want to showcase the West Coast and Los Angeles as a creative hub, but also in an exemplary way. And I think the rebuilding efforts here speak to that. How companies and homeowners can rebuild with materials and resources that insulate them from from what happened in January and the climate issues. So it's a lot about listening, having conversations throughout the year, listening to our community, both homeowners and the design trade. What are they concerned about, and what causes them to lose sleep and things like that, and how can we be supportive and helpful to create that kind of dialogue where people are walking away with valuable information and ideas for what they can do as action items beyond WestEdge.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting too that it's the information that comes out of these events, and I think that's one of the reasons why they're so important. You hear about, and you don't hear about it every day, the rebuilding that's taking place in the Palisades and Altadena, but you get it in drips and drabs unless you're there talking to the designers and architects on the ground, and which is why one of the conversations we're having this year is Designing for Disaster, which is being moderated by Adam Hunter, which is remarkable. We've got the USGBC California involved, Stacy Munich, Sarah Malik Barney, Todd Palillo from KAA, and Richard Mannion on that program, talking about not just the fires. Like, yeah, the fires were part of it, but Now you've got wind damage, you've got water traditionally, which we've always had after fire season, you have flood season. It's just part of that. You have air quality issues, you have noise pollution that's really been noticed after the pandemic. But what's interesting too is building with a more durable focus. A lot of these homes in Southern California in particular that other parts of the country don't necessarily have is they're uninsurable. So if you have a
Yeah.
home that's uninsurable, you can't go build a $2 to $5 million home every 10 years. You just can't make that work. So some of these conversations like that one in particular speak to that. Another one, which I'm excited about, Kim Gordon of Kim Gordon Designs, who's designing the theater this year, is actually on this one. Creative burnout. You know, every designer I know, not including, and we're not designers, but you and I, Megan, I mean, the level of
Yeah.
burnout and trying to maintain some level of creativity. That's why, the conversations that we're having, do you envision like the conversations not necessarily matchy matchy, but in some way being paired to how the exhibitors are presenting what they have to sell?
Yeah, a little bit. There are certain instances where that is definitely the case. The indoor outdoor, right? That's so prevalent here in Southern California. And it kind of speaks to what I mentioned earlier with our outdoor environment and how we've created an exteriors environment where we've paired outdoor furniture, outdoor grilling, outdoor kitchen brands, landscaping. And so, I know that's a topic that we have on the radar for this year too, is kind of outdoor style and so on, and nature, how nature is inspiring design. So another example, Josh, we have brought Team Palisades into the mix this year. Team Palisades is a grassroots organization of Palisades homeowners who have all banded together to help support each other and the rebuild efforts. So Mei Sung will be involved in spearheading a panel on Saturday, really geared for design trade, but also homeowners. And then they'll have a pavilion at the show showcasing different vendors who do speak to fire resistant materials, venting, windows, for frames, building materials and products that are speaking to designing around disaster and the fire situation that happens. So definitely we like to see synergy between what's being presented on the main stage and what is shown with the exhibitors. Not always, the creative burnout, for example, it's so important for us to host business development panels like that because we work with a lot of corporate brands, but also small shop design firms, solopreneurs. And we all know how challenging it can be when you're wearing many hats and, you're doing your bookkeeping, your social media, your marketing, navigating tariffs, and so on and so forth. So, and not even to talk about the creative burnout, which is about the mental drain and how you stay fresh and invigorated and reinvent yourself and have to pivot. I think we all have learned more than ever over the last several years that that word pivot is not going away and we have to keep doing it.
No, it's true, but that's part of it too, and I think that that's kind of the philosophy of West Edge is that there's a quantifiable takeaway, and it's a learning opportunity, it's a networking opportunity. You get to see brands being showcased in a way that they're really not showcased elsewhere. And that, I mean, that's part of the fun for me is being able to see new products every year. Who are some of the new brands that are showing this year that haven't been there before?
Gosh, yeah, we've got several. We've got Levette wallpaper, beautiful handcrafted wallpaper. We have several makers. We have a section called Made Modern, which is really all about limited edition and custom work, independent designers and makers who are touching things by hand and handcrafting. So Loram Ceramics is another exhibitor within that area. We've got some new brands from the UK coming into the mix. Corsten Architecture Hardware is another company that's coming into the fold. We've got companies who are manufacturing and designing right here in Los Angeles, which I think is really exciting to promote brands that are right in our backyard. Nathan Anthony Furniture is a great example of that. Tina, beautiful furniture that's all done here in LA. And helps people recognize that they can source in their backyard and facilitate easier shipping and easier costs and things like that. So those are a couple examples. And then we have companies who've come back year after year. So we always try to keep a good, healthy mix of returning exhibitors, but also new blood, new sizzle, so to speak, some of those undiscovered brands for the community.
I still have my Pinterest designed Schwinn from the auction in what, 2018?
Gosh, I think it
Maybe?
was it may have been 2016.
Was it?
That was one of our most successful concepts. That was a lot of fun. And for those who aren't familiar, every year our opening night is aligned with a charitable organization. We're very much into giving back to the community. And that year, our charity partner was Ronald McDonald House of Los Angeles, and we aligned with Schwinn Bikes to have 20 designers kind of trick out a bicycle with their signature style. So, beach cruisers, who doesn't love a beach cruiser on the boardwalk of Santa Monica or Southern California? So that was really, really fun. And I'm glad to hear that you still have it and hopefully are you writing it or is it a statement piece? Because some people, bought the bikes because it was a beautiful art piece and others, because it was rideable.
I'm not riding it as much as I was when I was living in Manhattan Beach, but
Mhm.
still. So tell me about the partnership this year.
Yeah, so this year we have aligned with Habitat for Humanity of Greater Los Angeles. They launched in January a Rebuild LA Recovery Fund for victims of the wildfires in all of the different areas. As you know, different neighborhoods were affected, Altadena, Pacific Palisades, and so on. So Habitat is a known entity. I think a lot of people are familiar with Habitat for Humanity and the work that they do in building homes and getting people back into homes who are struggling. So a portion of our ticket sales on opening night will benefit Habitat. And then in addition, we are creating a series of designer vignettes called Rebuild Rooms. And those rooms will be curated by leading interior designers, 10 by 10, small space, big style sort of vignettes, where the items within the vignettes will be for auction. So attendees can kind of shop the look and get different design ideas, but also put a bid in on one of the items. And what I'm really excited about, Habitat also has restore locations. Restores are their retail outlets where anyone can go and shop for gently used furniture. A lot of brands actually donate their overstock. So sometimes you can find brand new pieces as well. So each designer is being encouraged to select one item from a restore location to put into their vignette. So it'll be kind of an upcycling situation too. And again, it's rebuild. So a designer could buy a chair and have it reupholstered or a new lacquer, a new coat of paint or this or that. So it's a nice way to promote the restore outlets as a resource for people looking for great products, but also mixing old and new and repurposing things.
I love that. So if you want to go and learn more about the program, so what I'm going to say here is go check the show notes. You can learn more about the programming. You can get a link to the schedule. You can get a link to the WestEdge Design Fair website. You can also possibly get a link to tickets. Wink, wink,
Yep.
nod, nod, and learn everything else about the show. And we will see you November 20th through the 22nd at Barker Hangar in Santa Monica. Megan, thank you.
Thank you, Josh. We'll see you in 6 weeks and counting.
Yes, but by the time you're listening to this, we'll see you later this week.
Awesome.
That was my conversation with Megan Reilly. Up next, Kim, Julia, and myself talk about the stage and the theater. We'll be right back. At the highest level of design, The absolute best specifying designers, architects, landscape designers are all highly focused on the technology and performance of products and materials today. You have to, because the products you specify for your projects have to perform and they have to last. That's one of the reasons why I am so proud to be working with TimberTech. Their focus on the technical renaissance of synthetic decking is literally changing the conversation about innovation and performance. It pulls focus on three priorities homeowners have and expect from the products their designers and architects specify for their luxury projects. One, aesthetics must match the overall design and fit visually. Two, durability and maintenance. I've told you about my board flipping stories from my own wood decks. Clients not only want beauty, but they want ease and ease of use, and they want it to last for decades. Three, sustainably made. Clients are more conscious of the environment now, and they want the same of their materials. TimberTech hits each one of these elements with a product that not only meets expectations, they exceed them. TimberTech makes a synthetic decking that looks just like wood, color and embossed wood grain for a natural appearance. Their composite decking is technologically superior, as it has been created to last for decades, and it's manufactured with up to 85% recycled material. Their advanced PVC, vintage, and landmark collections have a Class A flame spread rating, making these products an amazing choice for wildfire-prone areas, which unfortunately continues to grow on the risk map. Check the show notes for more information about this and to find the nearest showroom or lumberyard where you can find TimberTech, or you can check them out directly, timbertech.com. I am absolutely thrilled to welcome a new sponsor to the program. First of all, because I love new sponsors to the program, but also because this one is something that each and every one of you has been looking for. Loam AI is a company that has its roots in technology and engineering with a passion for high-quality content development. Listen, designers, architects, landscape architects, shelter industry brands, you know that time is the one thing we can't create, right? So how would you like the power of AI in content development programming that allows you to design instead of editing videos, scripting, and writing your content for social media? Loam AI was created by a team of engineers with a passion for creative content development. This is text to video, so you describe it and Loam AI creates it. It's really amazing. You're going to have to check this out. And they make it simple to change content sizes for different social media outlets. How tired are you of trying to resize the content that you create, or send it out to a freelancer and keep getting the recharges because it has to be put in different sizes? It's a pain, and Loam AI fixes that. It's easy to use, has US-based support if you need it. Let me rephrase. The support is here in the United States if you need it. Stunning images, realistic voices, built-in captions, and it's simple to use. Sign up and try it for free without a credit card at loam-ai.com. I'll say that again. LOME-AI.com. Simple, inexpensive, text to video, harnessing the power of AI to grow your firm beautifully. I've been doing the program. You know how the pandemic kind of ruined everything as far as how my timeline in life works. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I want to hear what you think of that. Tell
Like
me.
I have trouble explaining or remembering pre-pandemic or post-pandemic because everything just sort of blurred into the same timeline. But I've been working with the WestEdge Design Fair now for, I want to say it's been about 8 years, and I've been producing the programming for 7, I think. And
Really?
every year, it's so exciting and it's so much fun. And only about probably 4 years ago did we start really focusing on having design talent work on the stage, because it was kind of like, nobody wants a stage with 6 chairs.
Hmm.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Why would you be talking about design and not have the space designed?
Good point. Yeah.
So I am absolutely thrilled that this year I asked you, I think I asked you in Vegas at KBIS.
Yeah, you did. Or maybe I invited myself. I was like, oh, I want to do it. It
You
might have
you
been
know what's
something.
funny
You and
is
I were having so much fun, so
I
that could
think
have
you
been
might
it.
have, but that's okay because this is amazing and I'm thrilled that you're doing this. And one of the things that you did, which I absolutely love about you, is you crafted a story behind it. This forest for the trees idea
Yeah.
to sort of theme, theming the idea based on what's happening in the region in real time.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the idea. Talk to me about the concept, the why.
I believe, you know, there was something about having a theme to begin with. So when you asked, can you design this, right? Can you design the theater, the stage? My first thought was, oh, well, like, is there a theme? I mean, if it's a birthday party, we're putting cake and stuff. If it's New Year's Eve, if it's a disco, we're going to have a ball. So what are we doing? And we didn't really have anything yet. And I remembered I guess just a little bit of what we're going on as a company ourselves in design about how easy it is that we are looking so closely at either the client dynamic or a lot of the tiny details that it's so simple to lose sight of the big picture and go, wait, this is a beautiful environment for this lovely family. They have beautiful kids. They need to live in it and just kind of expanding the way that we're doing design in our own office, right? And I think that's really important for many designers. And when I thought of that, this idea, oh, it's so easy to get caught not seeing the forest through the trees. This idea that the details are directly in front of you, all these little trees are there, but there's a whole gorgeous forest with its own microclimate and a whole vibe out there that we could be like really celebrating. But we do have to get through those initial trees and just go, wait, no, it's really big. So that was what we're, I guess, just thinking. And then, of course, aesthetically, that allowed us, Julia and myself, to go, oh, forest and trees, bringing in nature. We're really blessed that we've been celebrated about very, very much so. And Julia, tell me what I'm such a whatever. Julia, what was the name? What were we called again? It was Best Does It All Designer, right?
Yeah, best
Design.
all-in-one resource.
Yes. And they were bringing up this idea that we do a lot of landscaping in our work.
Wait, who is this? Who's they? Where did this come from?
This is from Modern Luxury.
Okay, all
And
right.
there was someone else, was it Hollywood Reporter? Or there was someone else that had something similar, this idea that you can go to one place. And that made us think a little bit about bringing the outdoors in again. And then that brought us to the theater.
I love that. Um, it, it- what's interesting too is, and it's funny because you and I say it differently. Have you
Yeah. Oh,
noticed
God.
that?
Yeah. You're fantastic. I just
No, no, no,
ramble
no, no,
on.
no, 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 no.
This
I'm
girl
not
from
fishing
New
for
Jersey
compliments.
just,
You
like,
say, it's interesting too. It's a
oh, I hear
distinction.
you.
You say forest through the trees. I say forest for the trees. I think your concept is a little bit different, and I think that that's really cool. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think that, I looked it up, because I had said it and we kept coming across that, right? It would come across as someone goes, is it for the trees? Is it through the trees? So
Yeah.
then, of course, I went to our friend I went to Google and I asked it. And it seems that it is forest through the trees because you cannot see the forest through the beginning. You can't see the forest beyond your little tiny through the trees. You don't, so forest in this example would be the big picture, tree is just that. So I think that's anyway. So but for me, it's forest through the trees. But you're in the Midwest somewhere, so you guys could be saying anything like soda pop or
No,
whatever.
it's not a geographical reference, and it's okay that it's different. For me, it's a philosophical reference.
Mm.
And because of that, look, here's the thing that most people who go to West Edge, and by the way, in this episode, I love that we're hearing from both you and Julia, and we're also hearing from Megan about the show itself. It's so fun every year. This particular show is so unique and like none other. It's not a trade show. It's not.
Right. No, you're
It
right.
it's an experience, and it's a boutique like event where you can go. you don't know who's going to be there. Someone who hasn't been to the show yet, who's not involved in the show this year, you don't know who's going to be there. You don't know what the experience is going to be like. You don't know how fun, unless you've been before, you don't know how fun that opening night party is because it's amazing. And the experience in the theater every year is crafted to have a different vibe and to provide those who come with the experience. And one of the things I love this about this show this year, how you and Julia have approached the theater space as it's not a theater. It's a place for an experience. And I feel like that's the same way that you approach your design.
That's really thoughtful. Thank you. I believe that there was a few things about going to the show that Julie and I remarked upon last year, which is it felt like the theater it's a little bit, I don't want to call it dark because it's not. It was very bright. It was kind of a cloudy day that day. But just this idea for us to be able to explore, to be able to see that the theater is an area for people to, I'm so sorry, for people to be able to, I'm going to say that again so you can edit it. Ask me again. I'm sorry.
No, I don't edit the
Oh,
show.
you don't? Oh, okay.
You know
So that was
that.
just, I had a phone call. Sorry. Never mind. I thought you edited. Sorry.
Listen,
Okay.
you know, it's
So,
funny. By the way, when the phone rings, when the computer dings, when you get notifications, when you lose your train of thought, that's kind of like you and I are, this is perfect for you.
I know. No. You and I are so different. I mean, I love speaking with you. I think you and I are so, because we're so different. And oddly, we stay on each other's track, which I find weird. You know what I mean? Like we're so different. Like I don't know. I'm a little bit more out there, but you and I get on these tracks. But getting back to your beautiful theater, I really wanted it. Julie and I both really wanted it to feel like it was an experience, like you said, like a place to go, a place to gather. We're so interested in digging into LED and lighting, and you got me so excited about your trip to Denver and what you were talking about. And I really feel even in our office and it's so hard. You want to learn more, as designers, we want to learn all the time. You want to find the good manufacturers, the good installers, people who understand, but it's a whole other, I really need to learn more about lighting, and that's what we wanted to bring to the theater. The chair, like you say, I often find when I go on panels, I find that the couch, for instance, to be a bit too deep. When it's that deep, I kind of get sucked in. I get really frumpy and I want to look cute, and I can't really turn my body. Or you kind of do, but it's like we're all lined up on a sofa that's a little too deep, and you kind of, so there's nothing wrong with that. It looks pretty when you're looking at the space, but the act of being a speaker on a stage requires a lot of you as a human to be a little bit uncomfortable speaking in front of people or a million things. You want to engage, but if you're not comfortable. So the first thing that Julie and I said was, let's get chairs that aren't quite as deep. Let's get a sofa that we're not forcing 3 or 4 on a sofa, but maybe only 2. Like, how can we design the space that it looks cute when it's static, when there's no one there, and you're walking in and you get a vibe. Oh, that's cool. That looks homey, or that looks nice. And then when I'm sitting on it, or we're all sitting on it, we can still communicate and move our bodies and communicate. But it's not about the chairs. And as you know, darling, sweetness, you know that I am super, it's brought to us by Best Buy, right?
Pacific Sales, a
Pacific
Best Buy
Sales,
company.
excuse me, which are married. They're married. I
Yes.
think they're having they had a nice wedding. A very nice, they've had a good marriage. They had some therapy for a minute, but now they're back on track. They also have some children, which, by the way, is some outdoor furniture. So they've been able to birth a couple of little babies. And but with Pacific Sales, we really wanted them to have a greater role, which you've been a part of, which of course you're dealing with a corporation. And, we're trying to say, hey, let's come up with something that looks really vibrant, that's really going to be able to showcase in a subtle, not obnoxious way about the trees, for instance. And that's And what do you think, Julie? I'm sorry, I'm rambling away and you're just sorry about that.
I mean, I think we were trying to like beckon people into the room, like trying to create something that made people say, oh, what's going on in there? And, without like revealing too much, like we're working on right now doing some visual displays on the wall. And I think that's something that really will attract people, and people like, movement, obviously, and people are really into lighting right now, and that's really big in obviously like the design world. So I think we were really just trying to like get more people in there and really showcase like what's the best that it could be. And yeah.
Yeah, totally, Julia. You're absolutely, and that was something, and it's something, and by the way, we're just measly designers that are just doing what we can with that
Oh,
little, with
stop
that.
it.
No, but I mean, we're no, I'm meaning to say that, we're just one tiny portion of an entire process. So this, and we came in not late at all, but there was some information coming in later. So we would love to have an opportunity to be able to do the hallways with lighting, like we talked about, some movement. Like this would make me incredibly, this would be awesome. We would love that. But not this year, I don't think. And we're going to have kisses of it. We're testing.
So, two parts.
Yeah.
How do you want them to feel? First part is the people who are watching these programs are experiencing the theater as a guest. I guess everyone's a guest, but those who are sitting on the audience side. And the second part of that is, what do you want the experience to be like for those who are performing? Because
Right.
it is a performance.
No, I hear you. God, now it's all this pressure. Now it's a performance. I thought I was just kind of sitting there talking. Right, Julia? Julia's like, I got to get Julia up there. Um, Let me think. Number one, I want people to walk in there and I want them to, I really like it when they can integrate and interact with the speakers personally. I like it when you can kind of reach out and it's kind of cozy. It's kind of like, it's kind of big, but there's enough that you can sort of bring people in. I feel like when you're watching these conversations, that, and you're so good at keeping it lively, you always ask really good questions, your topics are really cool, so I know that there's a lot of people that are interested. And I think that if it's stimulating in that there's that, like we talked about, that subtle movement behind the speakers, and then I think if I'm sitting there, I just feel like it's a living room chat, like we're talking, like we're all kind of having a conversation. That would be what I would want for both sides. And Julia, what do you think?
I think we want it to be like, I guess a surprise in a way, and something different that hasn't been done before. And that was something that we were really like, we
That's true.
really wanted and have been trying really hard to make happen, is just instead of having like something static behind the speakers, like wallpaper or paint color or, a panel or whatever it is, like we really wanted it to be different and stand out and have people walk in there and say, wow, like this is awesome. And this is
Hmm.
super different. So.
Yeah, and we're trying so hard to bring you that, Josh.
I know you are. And it's what's so cool is that when people come to the show, they don't I've always envisioned the theater being like I love music. Kim, you and I have talked about this
Yeah.
before. And when I
Hmm.
went out to Cruel World concert in Pasadena on a golf course, it was a festival show. My favorite act the whole time was Devo.
Oh,
And I don't
wow.
know, I don't know if you're a fan of Devo. I'm going off
I'm
the
not, I
rails.
don't know if I know their songs, but I know they're plantats.
You know their songs, but you
Yeah.
may not like them, but you
Whip
definitely
it.
know.
Whip it
But
good.
what's
Do, do,
so
do, do,
cool,
do. Do, 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 do. Isn't that them?
I'm going to take your word for it.
Isn't
I'm
it
going to
crack
believe
that
you.
whip? Right? That's it.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
yes.
Hmm.
But the thing is, this particular band, and there are others, but these are my favorite. The video behind the set list, the
Yes.
costume, like everything that they did. And I always envision like how to try to make the theater more special. And thanks to you and Julia, you have done that this year. And that's one of the reasons why I'm so excited to
Oh, I'm
to share
so
this theater with
glad to
everyone.
hear that, Josh. Really. And I wish we could get into it bigger. Like I would really like to get a bigger presence, like we said, about the lighting, but it's going to be awesome. And it's something a little bit different. So hopefully people can enjoy it and they'll like it. And maybe the gods of West Edge would be grooving on us, like really digging in, maybe next year on some of the hallway stuff. And you need a long time to kind of present these things.
You need a runway. You
You need
do.
yes, you
Yeah,
really
you do.
do.
Um, One of the things that I was thinking about doing this year, which I'd never done before,
Ooh, Josh.
but no, it's not that special. But I want your help on the the idea is when it comes to phones, being like, hey, bag them,
Ooh,
put them
ban
away.
the
Like
phones.
everyone wants to take their phone out and record it and get content. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, guys, I'm recording the whole thing in audio and
Mm-hmm.
video. Like we do West Edge Wednesdays for the whole 10 weeks in 2026. Every Wednesday there will be one of these panels, which is produced and then published to the internet. You'll see everything, the whole thing. But still,
Mm-hmm.
people want to take their cameras out and take parts of it, and then inevitably you hear the notifications and you hear the phones ringing, and
It's true.
oh, I don't
But
know
you know
how
what
to
I
do it.
wonder? Is it just a matter of some sort of familiarity, maybe anxiety, boredom in our brains, a lot of times of picking up the phone in general? Like, is it you're viewing it, as you're sitting there? I'm just thinking if you just sort of pick it up. Maybe it's just become such a part of our culture that picking up the phone, are they really bringing it home and looking at it? Or is it just
No,
something to fidget
no,
with their
it's
hands?
something to put on social media.
Yeah, right. And so you're saying if you were to okay, so if we play this out and they don't have phones, they're looking, they're engaged, they're more engaged, right? I mean, this is also us as parents like taking the phone away at the dinner table. So that's kind of what you're looking to do is take it away at the dinner table.
I
I think
just I
that'll
just
make
read a
people like a little like interact more as well. You know what I mean? Like Kim, like you were saying about getting the audience to interact with the speakers and just that questionnaire, because there are a lot of designers in that crowd that maybe have questions or haven't been to West Edge before and are experiencing it for the first time. And I think like that would make everybody a more just communicative and just present in the moment.
Yeah.
yeah, I'm just making some notes. It's funny. I really do hate aging myself, but I will because I can remember a time when you went to a concert. It would be like rerun from What's Happening at the Doobie Brothers concert, when his cassette fell out. Julie, you have no idea what I'm talking about, do
Yeah,
you?
Not at
I'm lost,
Yeah,
all.
I
guys.
know.
I'm lost.
Where his cassette fell out because he
I
was
was lost
bootlegging.
at Devo. He lost.
But 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 I also
You don't know
remember
Devo?
like
You
going
know
to
Devo.
concerts and not having a phone to distract you. And
Mhm.
just all you had was the concert. Like even in between before set, between sets, you had nothing but each other to talk to because
Right,
you had
that's
no
true.
phone.
I
Kim,
went
And
weren't
to I
we
went
at the Hollywood Bowl for Dave Chappelle
I
and there
was
was
just going to say the Dave
yeah.
Chappelle thing. I was just going to
Mhm.
mention that. Go ahead, Julia,
Hollywood Bowl,
tell him.
that's a big venue. I don't know
Oh
how
my
you do
God, you have
that.
no Julia, tell him how bad it was. It was,
Yeah,
oh my
we
God.
went to the Hollywood Bowl to see Dave Chappelle. This was like a pretty long time ago now, right? That was probably 4 years ago, over
Yeah,
4 years
maybe.
ago. And they had, so the line, it was so hard to get in, right? Because, and we were like, why is this line so long? Its show's already started, like it's barely moving. And we realized that by the point that we got to the entrance and where they're scanning your tickets, they're putting everyone's phones in these little satchels that they close. And so you physically cannot open it until one of like, the security or something, they have some sort of magnetic or whatever the device is that they're using to get the phone out. But they were putting everyone's
Hmm.
phones in these little like, yeah, little satchels. And
It was
we were
really a
like, wait,
hassle.
what? Like, this is crazy. And he did a whole speech in the beginning too, talking about how it's frustrating for him as a performer to see everybody in the crowd that are paying a lot of money to go there to see him, to experience an evening with him, and like everyone's just out on their phone the entire time recording
Yeah.
it and posting it and doing, they're not,
Yeah, it's funny. I went to see here in Tulsa, I went to see the Pretenders at Kane's Ballroom, which is a small venue. I don't know capacity, but they can't have more than, I don't know, 1,500 maybe. I don't know the capacity, but it's a small venue. And they're the Pretenders. So standing room, it's LGA, and we're standing a little
Yeah.
while. And Chrissy Hine at first, they did a song or two, and then she was like, "Hey guys, can you do me a favor? Just put the phones away and let me get warmed up." She just she
Yeah.
wanted.
oh wow.
She's not in her 20s anymore, right? So she just kind of wanted to
Right.
warm up a little bit, and then because it's so performative. And I think there's something to that. But I think it all goes back to the environment. If the environment of a theater where the stage is pronounced and it it puts a proper focus on those who are sharing their talents with an audience. I think it's incredible. So that's a long-winded way of me telling you how excited I am to see your theater. So thank you
Well,
for
no,
doing
that's
it.
great. That's just, oh my God, I hope we could live up to this. Oh, you know what else is really cool, actually? Because we were called designers. Oh, look at you. We were called designers. And as designers, we had this whole plan with the furniture. We went deep. We were contacting so many people. We were lost in the trees instead of the forest. We were lost in there for a second. And then we had a conversation with Megan, and she was like, let's grab these people that are showing on the floor. So we ended up doing a deep dive on some of the makers and companies, and we're integrating them now, which I think should be a consistent thing. I mean, I have no right to say what you can do with your theater, but the idea about having some of these people to be able to introduce their things, they get a call out, right? I mean, talk a little bit. I mean, it's really lovely when you become a part of WestEdge. I mean, you're doing call outs all the time. I mean, it's kind of awesome, really.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I love that.
So,
So anyway, not to drone on about this, but if you're hearing this for the first time, because obviously it's going to be up for a while, and people who are at the show, maybe they don't listen to this until after the show, and you can go back and listen to sort of how the theater came together. But if
mhm.
you're listening to it when it's published, WestEdge is coming up. So check the show notes for links to Kim Gordon Designs, so you can reach out to Kim and Julia. And also, perhaps there will be a ticket link there for you to get tickets.
Oh, free
So there you
tickets.
go.
Did you say free tickets? What,
I
to the
did.
party?
I didn't say that.
What did you say?
I
Are you
didn't.
not giving away free
I said
tickets? Kim
maybe.
Gordon Designs isn't, we can't
There
give
might
away free
be.
raffle? A
There
free,
might be. I don't know. You're going to have to
just
check the show
checking.
notes.
Oh, okay, I see. It's the
So there you
deep
go.
dive.
Thank you for doing this.
Thank you so much, Josh. You know we adore you.
The Design Hardware Showroom is a space where specifiers can go and find an incredible selection of high-end faucets, luxury tile, natural stone, wood floors, and bespoke hardware, and so much more. Select products are presented in a holistic manner, strategically arranged to stimulate creativity and transition your vision from the conceptual stage to a fully realized space. You will find everything you're looking for, even the products by brands you didn't know you didn't know. Surprise and delight. Am I right? All under one roof on 3rd Street in Los Angeles, just up the street from the Grove. Conveniently located, free parking available. Stop by to find inspiration, collect samples, get expert advice, and tackle everything on your specification list all in one place. Visit them online at designhardware.com, at Design Hardware and Flooring on the socials, or in the real world, 6053 West 3rd Street in Los Angeles. Thank you, Megan, Kim, Julia, for the time, conversation, and partnership. Cannot wait to see you at WestEdge. Hey, thank you for listening. If you liked this episode, and I hope you did, please share it with a friend or colleague who loves design and architecture just like you do. Subscribe to Convo by Design wherever you get your podcasts, and continue the conversation on Instagram at Convo by Design with an X. Keep those emails coming with guest suggestions, show suggestions, and locations where you'd like to see us in the future. Convo by Design at Outlook.com. Thank you to my partner sponsors, TimberTech, the AZEC Company, Pacific Sales, Best Buy, Loam AI, and Design Hardware. These companies support the shelter industry, so please give them an opportunity on your next project. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, be well, stay focused, and rise above the chaos.